Hi, this is Preetika Rao and I welcome Astrologer Maneeza Ahuja ji to the channel that trended Astrology Podcast in India. Maneeza ji, welcome on my podcast.
Thank you, Preetika.
I would like to remind the audience and of course congratulate you on this incredible prediction, which was rather unfortunate. You had warned us that on the 29th of March, when Saturn-Rahu conjunction would take place in a dual sign like Pisces, it is astrologically a time for tragedies and catastrophes. You see this as a time for tension at the borders, and you had indicated a war between India and Pakistan and also spoken about POK. We'll speak about that later on in the conversation. But whatever you had warned us came true on the 22nd of April when innocent Indian tourists holidaying in Pahalgam were attacked by terrorists and killed. And of course, India retaliated by targeting 7 terrorist sites in Pakistan and of course destroying them. You had also warned us that in the horoscope of independent India, Mars is the 7th lord and we're going to run the dasha of Mars. India is currently running the moon dasha, and in September 2025, it's going to run through a 7-year long period of Mars dasha. And astrologically, we all know that Mars represents war and arguments and fight. So does this mean that India is going to now see a 7-year long destiny which is war related?
See, this is a principle which has been well researched by my Jyotish Guru, Ken Rao sir, that whenever a country goes to war, the 7th house is majorly activated. But it is not just the 7th house. We look at the 3rd, the 6th, and the 12th lords and the houses for conflicts, border skirmishes, warmongering. We look at these houses. And it's not very simple. Sometimes you have to look at nakshatra exchanges, etc., to understand how severe is the warmongering. With the 7th, it is like a full-fledged war. That is how it is. So, in the Indian independence chart, Mars is the 7th lord, and the 7th house is housing Ketu in the nakshatra of Anuradha, in the nakshatra of Shani. Kujavat Ketu, Shanivat Rahu. Now that this problem has aggravated, remember that it can further aggravate when Mars enters the 7th house. Well, it is the dasha of the 7th lord starting on the 4th of September 2025 and going on till September 2032. This is not a period where India will be sitting back and enjoying herself. I have said in my previous podcasts on your channel itself that by 2030, India would now be stepping into the limelight and would become the spiritual capital of the world from there on. Because it is a dasha of the 7th lord, and it is not just any 7th lord. Mars is a warrior planet, a kshatriya planet, and so is Sun, but Mars more so. With this dasha, it's not that the 4th of September will come and suddenly India will go into war. When this particular episode happened, India was running the dasha of Moon, Sun and Jupiter. Sun is majorly afflicted in D9 of India's independence horoscope, and Jupiter as the 8th lord in the 6th house. As I said, 3rd, 6th, 12th and 7th. One has to look at these houses and these lords very, very carefully. But a full-fledged war comes with the 7th, and Mars is the 7th lord. So now with Mars coming in, as I said, it's not that from 4th of September suddenly there'll be major war, but it'll successively move into a situation which is very, very warlike. The troubles that have happened with Pakistan, the incident that happened on the 22nd of April, after that if we move forth and we look at the transit of Mars as well, remember that from 5th of June 2025, when Mars moves into Leo and aspects the seventh house. And this will happen many times in these 7 years. But I'm talking of the here and now from a very short-term perspective. When Mars moves into Leo in the fourth house and gives its fourth aspect on the seventh house, and this is the house where Ketu is posited, then expect some incendiary explosions. So the ceasefire might not last long. And Pakistan will plot with other countries to trouble us at our borders. Within this year, Mars will enter into Anuradha Nakshatra and enter into the seventh house of India's independence horoscope from 20th October to 10th December. I'm giving you a largish window here, 20th October to 10th December. This is a largish window. But if we concentrate it further, then Mars moves into the Anuradha Nakshatra from the 1st to the 20th of November on natal Ketu, also posited in Anuradha Nakshatra. This will highlight trouble, and this is a violent period as well. The 7 years are troublesome, but more troublesome will be the time when Saturn moves into Taurus. So while the troubles have already started, but remember, with Mars as a seventh lord, India will take an absolute front foot war stance. The Dasha will start in September 25, but it is from June 29 that this Mars will show its true colors. From June 29 till June 2032, those 3 years is where Mars will show its true warrior-like colors, and this fact that it is the seventh lord will get even more pronounced.
So, are you saying that after 5th of June this year, 2025, the war between India and Pakistan can escalate further? And how do you see it escalating between June all the way to December? Let's speak about this year up to December, because there are people who are making travel plans, there are people who are making all kinds of plans.
See, from June 2025 till June 2026, this is not a great period in terms of border troubles. There can even be civil unrest that can be caused within the country. So I would say there would be a dilemma, a dwand of sorts. June 2025, 5th June 2025 to June 2026 is a larger period that I'm looking at if we were to look at it short term. Within this, things intensify between 13th July 25 to 28th November 2025. Why? This is a very interesting principle. When Jupiter is Atichari or in accelerated motion, fast forward motion, and Saturn during this period gets retrograde, then is a time for trouble, not just for India, but across the world. Many nations would fight some other nations. And this period is exactly between 13th July to 28th November 2025. Even in 2026, we get this similar combination where Jupiter is in accelerated motion and Saturn is retrograde. It comes around the 1st of June 2026 and goes on till the first week of November 2026. So here are two periods where we know that some, and I repeat my line, reckless nations might go for a nuclear misadventure. However, coming back, so what intensifies, what begins from 5th June, intensifies further from 13th July. Around India's independence, if you look at the Varshfal for India's chart, then 15th August 2025 to 15th August 2026 is not a great period at all. This is a period where there is internal dilemma as well, internal unrest, almost bordering to a situation of civil unrest. There are states where there will be heightened unrest. Bengal, Uttar Pradesh are two such examples. Even Delhi will not go untouched when we see this unrest. And it's very clear between 15th August 2025 to 15th August 2026. I know I've said June 25 to June 26, but then these are larger arcs that are throwing up, but then one can look at a concentrated period within. So if we look at an extended arc, then June 25, and now we're almost going till the first week of November 2026. Coming back. So the Varshfal for India from 15th August 2025 to 15th August 2026, this Varshfal is showing malefics on the 3-9 axis. And therefore, there can be a lot of trouble in this year. And it's very clear. And then things further step into an accelerated motion from 4th September when India starts the Dasha of Mars. Even more so from 14th September when Mars moves into the 6th house and steps into Tula or Libra. Intensifies maximum between 20th October to 10th December. Because that is the time of Mars, the movement of Mars in the sign of Scorpio. And as I previously said in my answer to your first question, 1st November to 20th November, Mars will be transiting over the Anuradha Nakshatra. And that is a very, very incendiary combination because Mars then would be transiting over natal Ketu. This entire arc of troubles, even though, as I have explained, the Varshfal, 15th August 25 to 15th August 26, but till March, mid-March 2026, it is intense. Then it'll dilute a little till mid-June 26. And then we'll be on our last leg where the Varshfal will complete itself and the combinations will seek closure by 15th August 2026. But remember that the arc of Jupiter accelerated and Shani Vakri, which troubles not just India but countries world over, largely in the southern hemisphere, that arc will continue till first week of November 2026. So this is a very large, detailed, juxtaposed combination. But yes, when we go through this year, people will see that this rings true.
So, does the horoscope of the leader of the nation also indicate that the leader is destined to lead his country to war?
Yes, of course. And this again is a principle of my Jyotish Guru, Rao sir. If you look at the charts of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, then in 62, when India went to war with China, then Prime Minister Nehru ran the Dasha of Rahu Saturn. In his chart, Saturn was the 7th Lord. Again, the Dasha of the 7th Lord in that period. Indira Gandhi in the war of 71 with Pakistan ran the Dasha of Saturn being her 7th Lord again. Both are Cancer Lagna horoscopes and Capricorn is housed in the 7th with Saturn being the Lord of the 7th. If we now look at Prime Minister Narendra Modi's chart, then he's running the Vimshotri Dasha of Mars. Mars is not the 7th Lord, but Mars is placed in Lagna aspecting the 7th. Mars is in exchange with Jupiter in terms of nakshatra exchange, as Mars is in Vishakha and Jupiter is in Dhanishta nakshatra. This Jupiter has the aspect of Saturn and Venus, Venus being the 7th Lord. So yes, as I said, sometimes it is not very simple as A, B and C to be read as is. Sometimes it's a bit convoluted to understand how it's going. But, and I would repeat, PM Modi is not going to be the Prime Minister of India till the entire Mars Dasha. In fact, if we look at Prime Minister Narendra Modi's chart, then June 2025 to June 2027 is defining in his career, and within this period, he might leave his top position as the country's PM. Now, this is a 7-year Dasha. So, whoever comes in next will get affected by this dasha of the country, then one also needs to look at that individual's chart who would be occupying this prime seat as India's Prime Minister.
Okay, so let's talk about Pakistan. On this very channel, on the 12th of August 2024, when we did the video on the future of Bangladesh, you had warned us and predicted that Pakistan is running a combination to lose land. And you had also said that it could lose Balochistan, and now we can see it materializing.
Absolutely.
So can you throw some light on this once again?
That video was done some time back, and I did say in that video itself that Pakistan would be losing Balochistan. Why? Now see, if you look at Pakistan's chart, details being 14th August 1947, midnight, then it's an Aries Lagna chart. In this Aries Lagna chart, Mercury as the 6th lord is posited in the 4th house. Now this will not augur well in terms of land, and therefore you will always have this combination of redefining boundaries for Pakistan. Now, Pakistan is currently running the dasha of Venus Mercury. Venus as the 7th lord and Mercury as the 6th lord. Why did I predict that Pakistan will lose Balochistan? Under the 7th Mahadasha, the Antardasha of the 6th is coming, and that 6th lord is posited in the 4th. There is going to be some land loss for sure. That was very clear. Also note that from 11th January 25 till 11th August 25, Pakistan is running this dasha where it will step into a whirlpool of troubles, and it has. It has opened the hornet's nest with this attack on Pahalgam, because they would have never expected that India would not just do a surgical strike but go within Pakistan, 400 to 500 kilometers within Pakistan, and bust their nuclear bases. From 12th August 25, Pakistan is going to run a further troubled dasha. And here I'm looking at both Vimshotri and Jaimini Chardashas. And I'm quoting this on your channel. From 12th August 25 till 25th October 26, there is land loss for sure. And from 20th October 2026 to Christmas of 2027, which is December 25th, 2027, in that year, there is a lot of life loss, mass deaths, troubles within Pakistan. I'll add one more thing here. Within the next 1 decade, especially from December 27 onwards, and I'm giving you a chronological order, from December 2027 onwards till December 2033, Pakistan will lose more land. So which means POK would already have been lost. Balochistan would have gained freedom. You're aware that Balochistan has now asked the Indian government for an embassy in New Delhi. They're releasing their flag, their national anthem, and so on and so forth. But between December 27 to December 33, Pakistan will lose further pieces of land. So this will not end just with Balochistan or with POK. There is more to come. And remember, in the next decade and in the coming times, I'm not giving a timeline to this, Pakistan will be a country without boundaries. That time will come. So this is not just about Balochistan, this is not just about POK. Sindh will follow suit, and some more. So as I said, it is more than 2 pieces of land. So it is more than Balochistan and more than POK for sure.
Can we also talk about Turkey here? Because Turkey as a nation has, really caused a lot of hurt and anger and disappointment in India when it supported Pakistan with 350 missiles, drone missiles, and military aid. And of course, then we had boycott Turkey trending in India and in action. We have boycotted trade and tourism with Turkey. Do you see Turkey learning its lesson and withdrawing its support, or do you still continue to see Turkey rendering its support to Pakistan?
Let's look at the horoscope of Turkey then. The details are 29th October 1923, 20:30 hours, Istanbul. Now, for Turkey, this is a Gemini Lagna horoscope. Note that both Mars and Saturn are aspecting the 7th house in this chart. Now, Turkey will start the Dasha of Moon in March 2026. Now, when Turkey starts this particular Dasha, then Turkey will not pay heed to good advice and think that it can play mediator between India and Pakistan. And Turkey is taking a very high order stance that it's about human rights and it's about, protecting erosion of human rights. And there should be a resolution on this front without really understanding the problem. Turkey is sort of gaining foothold in this. Of course, there have been 350 drone missiles, and there have also been military operators that Turkey has provided to Pakistan in this particular period. Note that from March 2026, when Turkey runs the Mahadasha of Chandrama or Moon, Turkey will step into troubled waters. If Turkey has already not been strangulated by US trade sanctions, then expect some more. India has already decided to cut off its trade relations with Turkey. Rather, I would say India is weaning off. It's not like a complete cut off, but India will wean off. From March 2026, Turkey will step as the background support for some further nations, whether it is supporting Iran against Israel or supporting Pakistan against India. Turkey is making some very bad decisions while it does this. Also remember that from March 2029, Turkey will get embroiled in war, fully embroiled. And when that happens, March 2029 till March 2036, it's a troubled conservative regime where Turkey might not be in a position to give human rights resolutions to other countries while its own human rights are eroded majorly. As in, there seems to be an absolute military regime or conservative leaders gaining absolute power between March 29 to March 36. I'm not saying that Erdogan is not a conservative dictatorial, that his regime is not a conservative dictatorial regime. It is, but it will further intensify from March 29. But from March 26, as I've said, troubles will brew, if not brim, for Turkey. And I will share a very interesting principle here. Whether you look at the horoscope of China, or you look at the horoscope of Pakistan or Turkey, Mars is making some sort of a relation with the 10th house or the 10th lord. When that happens, then military becomes more powerful within that country. Then it is not the country which has the military, it is the military which owns the country. Those combinations are very clear in China. Dictatorial regimes is what I would, really put this to. In China, Pakistan, Turkey, similar combinations are coming through.
So China is one country that Pakistan looks up to for aid. Do you see China having any kind of conflict with India?
1st October 1949, 15:15 hours, Peking, China. It's a Makar Lagna horoscope. Now, Mars is in the 7th house, aspecting the 10th. I was giving you this combination when Mars aspects the 10th or has a combination or a relation with the 10th. Here, Mars is also aspecting the 10th Lord Venus. A face-off with China, and believe me, there will be many. The moment Saturn retrogrades in Pisces, which I have given you the dates, this year between 13 July to 28 November, next year between 1st June to early November, when that happens, China will continue to support Pakistan or continue to play truant. The dragon will not change its color. That is very, very clear. It is from June 2027 that the problems with China will intensify. From June 2027 till almost mid-year 34, till almost the end of 2034, even a little further on, China will dig its own grave. So June 2027 till almost mid-year, end of 2036, this is the time of the downfall of China. Right now, it might not be very visible that it is digging its own grave. But, well, it is. And I've given you the dates. June 27 onwards, China will dig its grave. I've said many times that the manufacturing forte, which is with China, will come to India. India is now going to reawaken as Bharat, as Akhand Bharat. So even if China tries on our frontiers, and there are villages being built in Longju, or roads are being built in the Shaksagam Valley, saying that, Congress has been saying this, that there are concerns because of that road that China is building in the Shaksagam Valley. It has concerns that will get created for the Siachen Valley. Well, correct. But remember, I'm just sharing a historical point here. Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru had handed over the Shaksagam Valley, which was part of POK, which was part of Kashmir, to Pakistan. And then in 62, Bhutto had parted with Shaksagam Valley and given it to China. And now that is where the road is getting built, and that is where now there is raised concern over the Siachen Valley. So remember, our country, we lost 125 square kilometers of land to Pakistan and to China, under the previous regimes. And now we are crying foul that, we can't protect our borders. But, we made ourselves vulnerable. We made our borders porous. Our previous regimes, our previous governments have done that.
So Trump is, offering India and Pakistan trade over war. And I recently heard Donald Trump make a statement saying that the fight between India and Pakistan over Kashmir is 1,000 years old, and that's why it's too long for him to have any say and intervene to settle it out. But 1,000 years back, Pakistan never existed. It was a part of the glorious Vedic culture, the Indian civilization, and of course the Indus Valley civilization is right now in Pakistan, which is again a Vedic culture. So it was an entire Vedic civilization, as glorious, if not even far more glorious than the Egyptian civilization that we admire. So there was no Pakistan 1,000 years back. So looking at the horoscope of Kashmir, what do you think is the destiny of Kashmir?
There is this instrument of accession that was signed by Maharaja Hari Singh on the 27th of October 1947. There is a chart that we look at for Kashmir, 1321 hours Srinagar. Now, there is this very interesting line by Sardar Patel to Lord Mountbatten that I want all the 580 apples in my basket. He was talking about all the princely states. And well, Lakshadweep was once completely under troubled waters with Pakistan Navy attacking it much later, but Sardar Patel even sorted that. Many had wanted Sardar Patel to sort out Kashmir as well, like he had beautifully sorted out Hyderabad, because even that was an issue with the Nizam there. But, well, he wasn't allowed to sort out Kashmir, and well, this is the problem that we have. If you look at this chart, we have 2 malefics in the 7th house. It's a Capricorn Lagna chart, 2 malefics in the 7th house, Mars and Saturn. If we look at the dashas that Kashmir is going to run, more so. So already there has been trouble. But if you look at the dasha of Rahu that Kashmir is going to run, from June 2025, Rahu being in the 5th, in the nakshatra of the 8th Lord Sun. Now that is showing that the Kashmir issue is not going to get sorted out completely. So when you said 1000 years, well, instrument of accession is 1947. Anyway, and I'll quote one very interesting point here as well. Let me just first look at the chart. So Rahu in Kritika's nakshatra, in the nakshatra of the 8th Lord, is showing troubles. If we almost go till the early beginning of the next decade, then 25 to, of course, Rahu is 18 years in total. The dasha is a longish dasha. But from October 25 till October 32, expect a lot of trouble in Kashmir, and the issue is not getting sorted. If we think that the economy is getting built up, well, even that doesn't seem to be, or tourism as an industry is building up. It's just showing trouble. It is just showing trouble. This was never meant to be. It was just a flash in the pan that, it became amenable to tourism. But, well, it's not showing, there are troubles to this place. So that, will this get sorted out immediately? Well, the answer is not really. Unfortunately, not really. Now, whoever says this should go through Nilmat Puran, a very interesting Shastra, where there is a dialogue between Raja Janmajay, who's the son of King Parikshit, who is the son of Abhimanyu, son of Arjuna. So Raja Janmajay is having this dialogue with Rishi Vaishampayan, where he says, why didn't the king of Kashmir join the battle of Mahabharat? So then Rishi Vaishampayan is answering that Gonand, who was the king of Kashmir, his son Damodara fought with Krishna and Krishna defeated him. Krishna, realizing the importance of Kashmir, coronated Damodara's wife, Yashovati, who was pregnant with Damodara's son. Yashovati delivered a baby. He is referred to as Bal Gonand. Rishi Vaishampayan says that Bal Gonand was too small. He was too young. He was a minor. So that is why the Raja of Kashmir did not participate in the Battle of Mahabharat. So here you go. That was an interesting piece of information, and I thought I'd share that. Yeah.
Wonderful. So do you actually see President Donald Trump having anything to do with these two countries, giving aid or, siding any of the two?
When this incident happened at Pahalgam, and then when India retaliated, while this was going on, the IMF has given a very large fund to Pakistan. What is that for? Then, well, one can just assume that Donald Trump could have stopped it. The G7 countries could have stopped it, but did not. So is it that the fund to Pakistan is being given so that Pakistan can buy further ammunition? Well, that's everybody's guess.
So India maintains this no first use nuclear policy. where it refrains from using nuclear weapons and being the first one to target any other country with a nuclear weapon. Astrologically, where do you see, because India and Pakistan are both nuclear powers, and that's one of the concerns that everybody has. So nuclear power wise and a nuclear war wise, what do you see in store for both these countries in the next 7 years?
See, if Pakistan gets into a full-fledged war, then it doesn't have the turbine fuel to even go ahead with a 7-day or a week-long war. So this is not about just nuclear war, everything erupts and then it gets over. It's not that. Pakistan will connive and collude with India's neighbors, make it vulnerable from all sides, so that India is not able to focus on one front. So whether it is Bangladesh, whether it is China and Pakistan itself, create trouble. These countries will create trouble across all the borders. When the borders will become vulnerable and India will fight across, while it also grapples with internal unrest. That is a war strategy that Pakistan has. It will not just be nuclear, start and get over with. It is successive, prolonged trouble or conflict within and on the borders, not just by Pakistan, but while it colludes with the other nations.
So if we have to sum up this entire conversation, would you say that the next 7 years will be very challenging for India in terms of, fighting out different countries and trying to, protect its own worth?
See, if India is going to become a spiritual capital, then the world listens to a spiritual leader who is also materialistically successful. So that's why I said that India will now excel in the fields of exploration, telecommunication, pharmaceuticals. India will excel. So that India will get majorly affected by what all is happening at the borders. Well, India will fight it out. Remember, Mars is also a warrior. You cannot suppress the warrior. And with this trend that is coming on, remember, it is the reawakening of India's Bharat. Now is the time that slowly and steadily India will now get its fragmented pieces of land. And I've said it previously also, that India will get Nepal as well. Note that the current parliament, the new parliament, has a map of Akhand Bharat. What is it telling you? It is a vision and it will happen. So various pieces of land will now come to India. So it's not about India losing land, it's about land coming to India. So whoever India fights, and I've said China is only seeing a downside, Pakistan will become a country without boundaries. So who is going to fight India? Nobody is going to fight the lion now. The lion will roar. But yes, India does as well see a challenging period between June 2029 to June 2032. India too sees a challenging time. When Saturn traverses through Taurus, India too will see a troubled time. But because the Ashtakvarg Bindus in Taurus will help us, will support the country, India will come out of the troubled times victorious once more.
On that note, I would like to conclude by thanking Maneeza ji for her interpretations, and I would like to remind our audience that these are purely astrological interpretations, nothing personal here. We as individuals always stand for peace. India has always stood for peace, and we pray that in all humanity we have love, peace and brotherhood, and we do not support war. So on that note, I do astrology podcasts, and this channel, of course, Trended Astrology Podcast in India. If you are fond of the subject, you can subscribe and follow my channel. And thank you, Maneeza ji, once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Preetika.